As around the sun, the earth knows she's revolving, and the rosebuds know to bloom in early May. Just as hate knows love's a cure, you can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always.
It's time for Be More Good News. Yeah, you heard it. Some good news. It's your girl, Teresa Davis from TD Productions. You know who I am, the independent filmmaker here in Baltimore City. I am super duper excited. You guys know how I am about good news. So, first off, let's talk about the independent films here that I'm doing with Silk White. He's the producer and writer. I'm also the assistant director. So we're excited about being able to give other people things to do that are, really, really positive. Some good Baltimore news. So if you want, go to, the YouTube page for Silk White and check out what's happening with the good news. We also have Till Death Do Us Part, the web series. Go check that out. Baltimore is very, very, very talented, and we need to uplift each other as well as yourselves. Dig within, find something great about yourself and tap into it, hone into it. You own what you do, and you are what you believe in. Some more good news. Jada and Will came to Baltimore recently, and they filmed the dirt bike culture here. So we are a rising city. We are a great city. And with it being Baltimore good news, with it being Black History Month, go out and do something extra special for someone other than yourself and celebrate our history. It's your girl, Teresa Davis, with the Be More Good News. And that's good news.
Just as hate knows love's a cure, you can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always.
Hello, top of the morning to you. My name's Donnie Glover, and you're watching the Donnie Glover Show. We want you to stay tuned for an informative show. Part of the discussion will be around the criminal justice system. America has 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's incarcerated. Let's talk about it. Stay tuned for the Donnie Glover Show.
Just as hate knows love's a cure, you can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always.
We'd like to welcome you to the Donnie Glover Show, produced by the one and only Frank Johnson. Here with Ivan Bates. Ivan Bates, how are you?
Hey, good to see you, Donnie.
Ivan, I'm just going to be frank with you.
Uh-huh.
Not Frank Johnson, but Frank Donnie Glover.
Okay.
Your wife is beautiful.
Yes. I've been blessed.
How did you get blessed?
I was coming out of a relationship. A good friend of mine was married to her line sister, my wife's AKA, and introduced us. We exchanged pictures, talked for a little while. We went on a date, and I just knew I was the best thing moving.
I mean, come on, man, you sharp from head to toe. I couldn't expect anything else.
Well, yeah, but I thought it, but she didn't. So,
Not you.
Yeah, so basically we talked, and she kind of swerved me. I kind of tried to reach out to her for the next 8, 9, 10 months. She really wasn't that interested. Then finally, I think she was bored one day, gave me a call. But by that time, I'd moved on. I'll never forget, she called and said, hey, let's go out. But I had a date planned with my aunt for Mother's Day. When I told her that, I think that kind of piqued her interest. We later eventually went on a date, and then eventually she planned a date. We went to Philadelphia to check out the museums, and we've been together ever since. I just had a little bit of growing to do to make sure I was ready for a woman like her.
Wow, that's some information. You had to prepare yourself for serious courting.
Well, I did.
I don't know if we use that word anymore, courting.
Well, my wife, very, very strong sister, has her doctorate And so she wanted a brother who was going to basically be at her level to make sure that you were serious not only about life, but family, had the same values and views, and she wasn't going to settle. So I've always appreciated that. And she's always brought the best of me out.
So can you look in that camera
Yeah.
and tell young men out there the state of mind necessary for a serious relationship with a serious woman? Because that's not something, I mean, I think a lot of us, we just jump into stuff. Before you know it, you know, somebody's pregnant, and the next thing you know, there's a family.
Well, you know, when you get ready to be in a serious relationship, recognize that your significant other is someone's daughter, or lady, someone's son. And the same way you want them to treat your children, you want to be treated. You want to treat them. For me, it was making sure that I gave her the respect that she deserved as my queen, to make sure that I treated her verbally, as well as making sure that she knew I could protect her, as well as making sure that intellectually we were on the same level. And also that most important, that we wanted the same things in life. If we wanted a family, which we did, how we decided to raise our family, how we decided to raise our children, and making sure I was an example and doing my position as her husband to make sure I always uplifted and supported her and my family.
I hope you're taking notes, because I sure am. You're watching the Donnie Glover Show. We're talking with Ivan Bates. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.
For the best discounts on quality furniture, appliances, building materials, and more, shop Habitat for Humanity of the Chesapeake's Restore. From the living room to the bedroom, the family room to the kitchen, our 6 Restore locations have a wide variety of household items priced at a fraction of the retail value. When you shop Restore, 100% of our proceeds support Habitat for Humanity's home ownership programs throughout Central Maryland. Call today for free pickup of your unwanted items or visit ChesapeakeRestore.org.
Says hate knows love's a cure. You can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always.
I'd like to welcome you back to the Donnie Glover Show. All right, down to business, Attorney Bates. Recently, Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby announced that she would not be prosecuting weed cases.
Yes.
Did I get that right, or is it distribution, or
Just possession of marijuana cases.
well, how's that gonna play out?
It's confusing. I don't think anybody ever really understands. I think it's a good thing, in theory. You know, I ran for state's attorney. It was one of the things on my platform I said I would do. However, the problem and the confusion is, what is possession, what's not possession? It appears that state's attorney has stated we're no longer going to prosecute possession. However, it doesn't matter the weight amount of the marijuana you have. So you could have 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds of marijuana. If there are no baggies, if there are no scales or no ledgers, then the state's attorney's office is viewing that as simple possession. However, the police are still making arrests. The police are still making arrests. One of the things they look at is the amount of weight to say is it actually distribution. So it's almost a trick bag. It's a trick. It's a mirage. I have heard from sources that the police and state's attorneys are actually charging more distribution marijuana cases than they were before.
So was Marilyn Mosby's or State's Attorney Mosby's announcement misleading to the general public?
I think it was, because the police are still making arrests. You need to make sure the police and the state's attorney are on the same page. This isn't something that I'm just saying. You saw former Mayor Kurt Schmoke came out and said the same exact thing, that you have to be on the same page.
20 years ago.
He said the same thing last week when they asked him. The Baltimore Sun asked him, and they said, you have to have the police on the same page. If you don't, it's confusing to the citizens. What's possession? What's distribution? This is a situation where they could have gone to the state legislature.
Isn't that the normal process?
That's the normal process. You had Ben Jealous running as a Democratic nominee. He talked about legalizing marijuana. I believe talking to other individuals.
Mazur talked about it 4 years prior.
Yes. So there's definitely a movement to do it. Why you want to do this on your own without consulting everybody else, it's confusing and it's misleading.
Did other states' attorneys elsewhere make this move, this bold move, which some could see as a PR stunt?
Well, let's look at Philadelphia. The about 2 years ago, Larry Krasner, the district attorney in Philadelphia, he made this move. But he gave a certain amount, and he talked to the police, and he worked with them when he was elected so they would be on the same page. In Boston, where our current state's attorney is from, they did the same thing. However, in Massachusetts, they were legalizing marijuana with the General Assembly. So every single state that's made this move and every single DA, they worked with the representatives to say, we're going to do this together as a team so that it's not confusing. You have to give the citizens an understanding of the amount. If you don't give the understanding of amount, what you're going to see is you're going to see individuals such as the cartel and certain gangs move in under the marijuana trade. Because remember, they're not buying the marijuana legally, they're buying the marijuana illegally. So if you're buying the marijuana illegally, then eventually you're going to see turf wars, violence could potentially go up because it's not being worked with in a group-wide, regulated way. If they just did it together collaboratively, there are things that they could do. You know, right now, marijuana in Baltimore City is laced with fentanyl, it's laced with K2, it's laced with heroin and cocaine, depending on the neighborhood that you purchase the marijuana from. One of the things that my clients have called me and said, Mr. Bates, we no longer need you. Mrs. State's Attorney Mosby's legalized marijuana. So what does that mean to the average citizen? If you are in your car or your son's in the car and they smoked marijuana, the police stop you for a traffic ticket, and the police say they smell marijuana, legally the police will ask you to step out. They can put you in handcuffs, sit you on the side of the road, and search your car for marijuana. The body camera footage doesn't smell. So if the police say all of a sudden that they see some weed or marijuana in the floorboard, or say you have your husband's gun is in the trunk of the vehicle legally, and you don't have the registration, the police can use that as probable cause to search your car and even arrest you for your husband's gun that's legally purchased in the trunk. It's so confusing. The U.S. Supreme Court has said the smell of marijuana allows the police to search you as probable cause. What does that mean to the citizens, and why didn't we do this together collaboratively and collectively so that we wouldn't have this confusion? Great idea, but terrible the way they're trying to implement it.
So with this, right now, we're in the middle of the Maryland General Assembly.
Yes.
With Mosby, with State's Attorney Mosby making this bold proclamation in the middle of the General Assembly, should someone in Annapolis, either one of the 47 state senators or one of the 141 delegates, should someone in Annapolis be presenting this to the state? And actually, it might be too late right now. So that's something we can talk about on the other side.
Says hate knows love's a cure. You can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always.
For the best discounts on quality furniture, appliances, building materials, and more, shop Habitat for Humanity of the Chesapeake's Restore. From the living room to the bedroom, the family room to the kitchen, our 6 Restore locations have a wide variety of household items priced at a fraction of the retail value. When you shop Restore, 100% of our proceeds support Habitat for Humanity's home ownership programs throughout Central Maryland. Call today for free pickup of your unwanted items or visit ChesapeakeRestore.org.
We'd like to welcome you back to the Donnie Glover Show. Listen, America has 5% of the world's population, yet we have 25% of the world's inmates. 44% of those inmates in America are African American males. The fastest growing demographic is African American females, with African Americans only comprising 13% of the population in this country. We're over half of the inmates.
Yes, we are.
Is mass incarceration a problem or what, Attorney Bates?
You know, mass incarceration is a major problem. The war on drugs has been a major problem, a major failure. However, earlier we talked about the marijuana and how Madam State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby said they're no longer going to prosecute marijuana, and how we were hoping the legislature would legalize it or do something. I'm shocked that the legislature and the state's attorney's office were on the same page. Especially, you have to remember, our current state's attorney's husband isn't a member of the legislature. He doesn't sit on the Judiciary Committee, but the state's attorney's office has individuals that they pay to go down there and lobby. However, unfortunately, we won't know what happened with the marijuana situation, because last week my understanding is that they decided to go ahead and have this issue investigated, to sit down and do a background to look to see if this is even feasible, which means they can't even do a bill for the rest of this year, and they can't do anything until next year.
So this legitimizes people's conclusion that this was a PR stunt, because a well thought out plan would have been more strategic, with hypothetically State's Attorney Mosby's husband would have filed something or had something co-sponsored in the General Assembly. I'm not the expert on Annapolis,
even
but
if you don't have him, and he's not on the Judiciary Committee,
somebody.
There are a number of other state reps here in Baltimore City. The Baltimore City delegation should have been behind this. Where's the Baltimore City City Council? Where is the mayor? There's so many people that collectively could have done this together, that we could have easily made sure that we at least passed what simple possession means in terms of an amount. Right now, citation is 10 grams or less. They could have taken it to 20 grams or less. They could have maybe taken a pound or less, but they didn't. So we have anarchy and chaos and confusion right now.
What are your clients saying?
Well, you know, being a criminal defense attorney in Baltimore City, my clients feel that, you know, marijuana is legal. Well, some of them say, Mr. Bates, I don't need you. Marijuana is now legal. And with marijuana being legal, they've now decided that's what they're going to sell, marijuana. As opposed to other things. I tried to explain to them that marijuana isn't legal, that they can still be arrested. And their response was, well, based on what State's Attorney Mosby said, it's simple possession. So if I have 20 pounds in my car and I don't have a scale, I don't have a ledger, and I don't have any baggies, then they can arrest me. Their other question is, they can arrest me, but I get my marijuana back. So it is so confusing around Baltimore City.
Let me tell you something else that's very confusing. The bail situation.
Yes.
Last year in the Maryland General Assembly, it was passed to change the bail system.
Yes.
What happened with that?
Well, it was once again a good idea, but they didn't bring, I feel, the individuals who are in the trenches, such as the defense attorneys, the judges, who are really dealing with this issue every day. In other jurisdictions, they were prepared, but Baltimore City hasn't. 36% more people are held without bail now than there ever were before this law passed.
But I thought the law was supposed to make it easier for a person to get out of jail.
Well, it hasn't. What people don't realize...
Or was that, hey, this could happen, but the reality is more people are locked up for longer periods of time, whereby they lose their jobs, their relationships are not intact, their housing situation is not intact. So they're really screwed.
Well, especially in Baltimore City. In Baltimore County, they give you a weighted number, and based on your number of the charge, how long you have family, your community ties, what are you charged with, your prior background history, they'll give you a score. Based on that score, you know, hey, this is an individual that should be released on their own recognizance. This is an individual that should be released from pretrial, or an individual who should be released on electronic monitoring. Baltimore City doesn't have a system like that per se. However, when you go to court with the bail review, the state's attorney's office is asking for about 75 to 80% of all the cases to be held no bail.
Ho, ho, ho. we thought people were getting freed. You're telling me this is contributing to mass incarceration.
Oh, yes.
Further contributing.
It is, it is. One of the things the General Assembly really needs to do is they need to have real pretrial funding. What does that look like? That means every jurisdiction in the state should have enough of the home detention monitoring program set up. In Baltimore County, State's Attorney Scott Schellenberger, he worked with the defense side in the jails, and they did, in fact, set that up. In Baltimore City, you do not have that. And because it's not set up the way that it should, more people are being held without bail, more people are losing their houses, they're losing their jobs, and what we wanted to stop is actually happening in greater numbers now in Baltimore City than ever before.
We've been talking with attorney Ivan Bates of Bates and Garcia, LLC. If you need an attorney, do call Ivan Bates, 410-814-4600, located at 201 North Charles Street in downtown Baltimore. You're watching The Donnie Glover Show. Stay tuned.
It says hate knows love's a cure. You can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always.
Wow is all I can say. Did you learn something? Mr. Bates, closing statement, closing argument.
Look, in America, we need criminal justice reform. But we need to do it in a smart way that everybody can benefit from, in a way in which everybody understands their rights. It's clear that good ideas, but the implementation may not have been the best. We also cannot forget the individuals in Baltimore City who were accosted, arrested, and abused by members of the Gun Trace Task Force. One of the things I would like to see is every single individual that had an issue with the Gun Trace Task Force reach out to the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office. Since they're going to go ahead and expunge the records of these individuals, the marijuana possession, then every single individual that's been arrested, convicted, or abused by the members of the Gun Trace Task Force, they should have their convictions arrested as well.
Their cases are still on the books?
Their cases are still on the books. This is something that they said they would do. As a matter of fact, there's a person named Jan Bledsoe in the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office. That's the attorney that has been working with a number of people to try to make sure they're able to expunge their records. Reach out to her because she said that she would expunge your record. Once again, there's an opportunity, there's an avenue to correct the wrongs the criminal justice system has done. We want real criminal justice system reform because we have to level the playing field for so many people.
I have to get you to address our young people. You said younger and younger, they're coming to school.
Well, one of the things that's really concerning,
weed.
A number of teachers have reached out to me because their students are younger and younger and they're coming to school smelling of marijuana. And we have to do something by not prosecuting marijuana that doesn't give a license for our young kids to smoke it. What it also has to do, we have to make sure we educate them about the health benefits and what can happen negatively with the smoking marijuana. We have to make sure that these young kids are on the right path to go to school to make sure they have an opportunity and chance in life.
Let alone to get a job. And God forbid that fentanyl is killing people.
And it's laced in the marijuana these days. This is not the marijuana that they're selling at some of the boutiques and some of the stores that have been legalized in Baltimore City and around the state. This is the marijuana that they're selling on the underground. And this is the marijuana that's also, from my understanding, has been coming up from Mexico, delivered by some of the cartels.
Young men, you have to be able to survive the frisk. You're watching The Donnie Glover Show. Stay tuned.
For the best discounts on quality furniture, appliances, building materials, and more, shop Habitat for Humanity of the Chesapeake's Restore. From the living room to the bedroom, the family room to the kitchen, our 6 Restore locations have a wide variety of household items priced at a fraction of the retail value. When you shop Restore, 100% of our proceeds support Habitat for Humanity's home ownership programs throughout Central Maryland. Call today for free pickup of your unwanted items or visit ChesapeakeRestore.org.
It says hate knows love's a cure. You can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always.
At Be More News, we've been honoring entrepreneurs, professionals in New York, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, New Orleans, because we want to push entrepreneurship. I think it's a viable means of transforming our communities. So, for history's sake, May 31st to June 1st, 1921, Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma was bombed and burned to the ground. You know it from the song by the Gap Band, "You dropped a bomb on me." Well, that literally happened. But there's so much more to the Black Wall Street history. For instance, in Oklahoma, in addition to Tulsa, which was the most established, most phenomenal Black Wall Street or Black business district, there were also at least 25 other independent African American communities in Oklahoma. People were going there after the Trail of Tears for this big oil rush. So Oklahoma was on its way to becoming one of the first black states. But there were other Black Wall Streets. In Brooklyn, where my New Yorkers, for my New Yorkers. In Brooklyn, there was Weeksville. It's at 158 Buffalo Avenue in between Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights. Also, in Manhattan, or as the New Yorkers say, Manhattan, Seneca Village is right there in between 83rd and 85th Street, which is now Central Park, an independent community that was destroyed for gentrification purposes or what have you. Long story short, wherever African Americans were, there was some type of Black Wall Street or Black business district. In Rosewood, in Florida, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., in Detroit, Black Bottom, everywhere, Black business. This is your Black History Moment.
It says hate knows love's a cure. You can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always.
Listen, I am no holy roller, but I do claim to be spiritual. And one thing I want you to know, whether you're an entrepreneur, a student, a parent, or what have you, if God sends you to do something, if he gives you a vision, a dream, a gift, I encourage you to follow it. I really, really do. If you have this compelling reason for you to go out and write a book, start a business, start a daycare, write a movie, play or screenplays, produce a movie, whatever it is, if the good Lord sends you something to do, I highly suggest you follow those instructions and go and do it. My name's Donnie Glover, publisher of BeMoreNews.com.
For the best discounts on quality furniture, appliances, building materials, and more, shop Habitat for Humanity at the Chesapeake's Restore. From the living room to the bedroom, the family room to the kitchen, our 6 Restore locations have a wide variety of household items priced at a fraction of the retail value. When you shop Restore, 100% of our proceeds support Habitat for Humanity's home ownership programs throughout Central Maryland. Call today for free pickup of your unwanted items or visit ChesapeakeRestore.org.
It says hate knows love's a cure. You can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always.
Hi, I'm Donnie Glover, publisher of BeMoreNews.com. I've got to take a moment and thank those advertisers that keep not only BeMoreNews.com going, but also this television show. Without you, without the people who put up the dollars to keep this operation going, we wouldn't even be here. So a very special thank you to you, and keep watching The Donnie Glover Show and keep supporting BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
Says hate knows love's a cure. You can rest your mind assured that I'll be